I don't know what's going on. I don't know who the hell you are, but we need help, and your car is working, so...
Whoa, 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 what are you doing?
Whoa.
I am very excited to chat with you, Ian, for Teacup. I've seen the first half of the season, and I am quite gripped by what I've seen thus far. Now, I know when the trailer came out, you had that whole letter about wanting to keep some of Robert's source novel while still holding on to the kind of stories you want to tell. I'm curious, though, was there anything from the novel that you actually found you were debating on whether to keep or whether to cut going into this show?
Absolutely. There were a lot of things in the novel that I thought, oh, if we could do this. But once we made the decision to tell the story, much smaller ground level story about 3 families as opposed to an entire town, you have to, you have to pick and choose. And the mantra in the writer's room and in pre-production and in production was less is more, less is more, less is more. The book, I think, is very, it's big and flashy, and there's a lot of set pieces and characters and things to look at. And we wanted to do something more in the Jaws mentality, meaning the less you see the monster, the longer you have the audience involved, the more effective it'll be when you do see something horrific. If there, not that there is a monster in our show, but maybe there is. I don't know. I can't tell you. I could tell you. I know what happens, but I'm not going to tell you. So you can watch it. So less is more. So we had to pick and choose. And, then the great thing is, if we are so lucky to have subsequent seasons, then we've got this treasure trove of things that we can pick and choose and bring into our show's world from the book, because McCammon is very much on board with the show and came to set and had a blast, and it's just it's a different experience, and I think that's what makes an adaptation exciting, when it's not word for word, sentence for sentence, character for character, because otherwise you could read the book and you'd know exactly how it's going to go. You know what I mean?
No, I'm glad you took the approach you did, because it also, like you said, really creates a more intimate, character-driven focus more than anything else. And I'm certainly hooked by these characters. And I would love to touch on that too, because you also mentioned it being like a puzzle box mystery show, and there's such a fine line to walk with those shows of giving audiences answers while also still keeping the focus on characters. And how challenging was that for you in the writer's room to really find the right pace to give audiences some insight to what's going on while still keeping us hooked, all the way to the end with these characters?
In the writer's room, the challenge was, how do we give the audience clues, little breadcrumbs, without revealing any of the secrets, without it becoming expositional, which is writer's nightmare. Is at least a screenwriter's. It's, if you feel yourself characters giving exposition, you're doing something wrong. You shouldn't have to do that. And to the network's credit, the first half of the season, they did not ask us to give any answers. They said, by episode 5, they said, okay, enough is enough. You need to tell us what's going on a little bit. But they trusted us. And I don't think it was a challenge. It was never a struggle. It was a challenge to make sure that we were being true to the mythology that we'd adapted from the book. That was the thing that, you're playing by certain rules, and playing by those rules and not giving away how things work. It's a balance, but it was more fun than it was a struggle, or I guess a challenge. It was a challenge, sure. Yeah, but it was more fun. We had fun. That was the key. I mean, that's been the key through the whole thing.
Well, I'm glad you had fun with it. And like you say, I think you really find that balance well, because I know that 4 episodes in, I'm really curious to see how it keeps going. So you also made a mention of subsequent seasons, a hope for that. And I'm curious, obviously we can't get into spoilers, and I haven't seen the second half of the season, but have you laid the groundwork and sort of have in your mind where subsequent seasons can go with the show?
Both yes and no. I have some idea, but I am a writer who doesn't like to make his job easy, meaning I don't know what happens in the end. I write as an audience member. I like to see what happens as I write, which is, by the way, I don't recommend that. It's really difficult and not the smartest way to do things. But I would, if I knew everything that happened, say it was going to be 6 seasons. If I knew everything that happens, then I'm not having fun. Then I'm just dictating. I'm just a court stenographer, and I want to be surprised as to what happens, as to what a character does, as to where things go. So, do I have some ideas? Yes. Do I know what happens? Absolutely not.
No, I like that mentality. It really keeps things fresh for both you and for us. So I hope that you get the chance to lay out those ideas. I see I'm out of time, so I will get on out of here. But I can't wait to spread the word about this show and to see you keep delivering on this world. So thank you, Ian, so much for taking the time.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks. Good talking to you.
We're terrified.
Terrified's a pretty good place to start.